Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this series of videos, I take 10 common rocks that anybody can find, except I found them first and they went in my bucket. And I cut them in half and we'll look at the inside together, and then I'll take each one of them rocks and I'll make a cabochon out of them and I'll show them in the episode, which will be episode 33. So this is episode 32. I got 10 common beach rocks right here from the shores of Lake Superior. Let's take a closer look at them. Okay, here are the rocks I selected for this week's video. So these are from the shores of Lake Superior, so we'll start with the big one here first. So this is a unakite, because it's got feldspar in the epidote and some quartz. Let's get it wet. This one looks pretty cool, actually. Look at that. A lot of interesting terrain going on in this one. This ought to make a really interesting cut. At least I think it's unakite. I don't know. A lot of times I'll say one thing and then when I cut them, I'll say something else. So this could be quartz with, a granite with epidote in there, which I usually don't see, but we'll find out. So this is a piece of oolitic jasper. Get it wet here. I like this stuff because it's just, the patterns in here are intense. It's got the little spots of jasper, got a nice little quartz line running through there, and additionally it'll have some hematite in there to give a little silver shine. I got this little piece of quartz here with a stripe running through there. Yeah, even the little rocks on the beach get my scrutiny. So I thought that had some interesting patterns in there, and we're going to cut it open and find out. I think this is a piece of argillite. Let's get it wet. See why I picked it up. So that looks like quartz, but it's not really quartz. It's got a lot of nice lines and stuff. It's kind of beach worn, but I think a lot of times you cut these open and they're nice and solid on the inside, even though they don't look very well on the outside. Right, got a piece of amygdaloidal basalt, and this is prehnite right here. The thing I like about the prehnite is that not only you get this greenish, soft greenish, bluish color, but it also has flecks of copper usually in it. So you can see this has been worn on the beach pretty good because the basalt's much softer than the prehnite. Well, it's prehnite or prehnite. I've heard it pronounced both ways. So, yeah, that'll be cool. And got ourselves a piece of gneiss here. And that's got some color going on in it. Let's get it wet. Oh yeah, look at that. Even got some reddish stuff going on in there. So I'm kind of curious to see what the inside of this one looks like. Got ourselves a piece of granite here. Now we were picking granite up on the north shore of Minnesota, and we noticed that a lot of it has really thick grains in there, which is kind of different because the stuff we pick up in Wisconsin is more fine grained. So I think these make some more interesting patterns for the cabochons. So we'll slice this one open and see how it's shaking in there. Okay, got this one here. It looked like it had some bluish green stuff going on. Let's get it wet. Oh yeah. Now I think this is a amygdaloidal, and it's got a lot of different colors going on in there. So this might be very interesting. All right. Get ourselves a little stripy quartz here. So let's get her wet. Yeah, that's got red, quartz, brown, and I think the yellow that you're seeing is limonite staining. Limonite, I don't know. I'll have to look that up. I'll put a little word down in what the actual word is on the screen here. Limonite. I can't remember. Yeah. And we got this one here. I think this is another piece of gneiss. Get it wet. Well, maybe not. Kind of looks almost agate-y. I'm trying to peek around the camera here and look at it. I think this is going to be, it's got a little pinky stuff going on in there. Some nice green, maybe some fortifications right along here. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to gather these rocks up. We're going to take them downstairs to my saw, and we're going to cut them in half and see what's on the inside. So I'll meet you downstairs in the saw. Okay, we're down here on my high-tech 10-inch trim saw here. And I want to show you first that these blades are absolutely not sharp. This is a continuous rim sintered diamond blade. It's got a base metal with diamonds impregnated into it. And it don't cut with an edge. It cuts by grinding. I'm rubbing my thumb on there right now. And it don't even cut the glove. So if you think I'm going to cut myself, don't think that. I'll be fine. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to touch it up. I got this old coarse grinding disc here. I usually run it through there 3 times. What this does is exposes fresh diamonds, so I get a nice, clean, quick cut. So let's start cutting. Okay, first up, we got this big old guy here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this side off right here. Okay, let's see what we got. Alright, add pattern. Don't like the fractures though. Okay, now we'll open these up and talk about them a little bit more upstairs. Alright, got this chunk of amygdaloidal. I'm thinking I'm going to run it right down the center, right just like that. Well, it felt nice and solid. Let's see what we got on the inside. Woohoo, look at that. That is perfect. All right. I'm liking that. And got this little stripey guy here. I think I'm going to run him right down the center. See what this one looks like. Oh, cool. I was hoping the stripe went all the way through. That'll make some interesting cap, but a few fractures, but eh. All right, this one here is super pretty. So I was thinking about cutting it like this, but I'm going to cut it like this because I want to get all this in a cap maybe. So we're going to split it right down the middle. Alright, I'm kind of excited to see what this one looks like on the inside. Wow. And this is a common beach rock. Now all the little sparkles you see on the bottom, that's pure copper in there. Look at that. Alright, got a piece of granite here. And I'm kind of thinking I was going to kind of shave the end off, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut it down the middle. Now I'm kind of imagining the inside's going to look like the outside, but I'm hoping for some cool pattern. Look at that. Little crystalline structure in there. Kind of cool. Alright, this piece of nice here. I'm just going to run it down the middle. It wasn't too bad. Remember now, color and pattern, what we're looking for here. Look at that. Orange, all kinds of cool colors. Even got some pink in there. Right. This little percolate I said. I'm going to run him right down the middle too. Well, it felt solid. Let's hope there's some nice stripy goodness inside of this. Ooh, that is cool. All right, I'm going to say it right now. It looks like a mutant ninja turtle. Let's see if anybody agrees in the comments with me. Okay, got the stripy one here. Let me think here for a second. I think I'm going to run it just like that. See what we got. Ooh. Okay. Thinking that. Alright, got this beautiful piece of oolitic jasper. Look at the little pieces in there. Isn't that pretty? Now, I'm trying to think. I think I'm going to cut this one like this because I'd like to incorporate this quartz streak into a cab. And let me think. This quartz streak comes around like this. Let's go ahead and split it right down the middle. Well, we're hoping for no fractures and no pits. Wow. That is pretty. And finally, this one here. This one's got a lot going on. What I think I'm going to do, I like this side here, is I'm going to cut this side off right here. Man, I could tell I was cutting a rock there. That thing was hard. Let's see what we got. Okay, 2 fractures. I think we can work around that. Yeah, look at that. Come right out. All right, I'm going to gather these up. We'll take them upstairs and take a closer look at them. See you up there. So we just got back up from the basement, got some really awesome looking rocks in here. I already have 3 of them that are my favorites. So let me know in the comments down below which ones are your favorites. So we're going to spread these out here and we're going to kind of look at them, talk about them a little bit. So stand by. So here are the rocks that we cut for episode 32. We're going to look at these, and then after we look at these, we're going to clear these out of the way, and then we're going to bring in the Alaska rocks I made cabs out of that Carlin sent me from up there, and we're going to look at those. So let's check these out first here. So this is the big one. I thought it was a unakite, but after cutting it open, I'm not seeing any feldspar in there. So I'm just thinking it's a mixture of epidote quartz and granite. You know, things happen like that. Let's get some of the chrome off here. Now, the only thing with this is it's got a lot of cracks in it. So I like the color. It's not, like jump out at you type colors, but it's a solid rock. And I think we should be able to make a good cab. I might come back and cut another end off or something to see if I can get into some different pattern or some rock that don't have so many fractures in it. Yeah, it's not too bad. I think it'll shine. It's a heavy rock in addition. Yeah. All right, this one here is number 1 of my favorites. It's oolitic jasper. It's got the nice little spots of jasper, and it's got some hematite and quartz in there. And I couldn't make up my mind whether I wanted to cut it like this or cut it like this. I ended up cutting it like this because I got the quartz stripe in here. But look at that. You can see the little spots of jasper in there. And then this is all hematite down in here, and then there's a little hematite kind of running through the whole rock. You got some quartz going on in there. So this is, and I'm kind of enthused because I don't see any fractures in here. And I could probably get 4 cabs out of this, if I don't go too big. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how this one comes out here. So there's the outside. There's the inside again. Yeah, I just like the colors, the spots like that just look so neat. Okay. I got a piece of granite here. Kind of expected the inside to look like the outside, but I just love the pattern on this thing. The big grains of whatever this is, feldspar or quartz or whatever. It had a really nice strong pattern on the inside too. So got a feeling we're gonna see some good things come out of this one. And usually granite is always good for not having pits or fractures in it. You usually get a nice solid rock out of that. I'm thinking it's probably a mixture of feldspar, mica, and quartz. But I just left the grainy looking texture on it. All right, this is my favorite right here. Look at that. Can you just believe that this was laying on a beach, a public beach? This looks like something you'd buy in a rock shop. So the pink stuff, I believe, is prehnite or printed, and then we got some epidote, it looks like. And I don't know if the dark green is epidote or chloride or something like that. I'm not sure, but man, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. And then all the little sparkles you see in the bottom, that's pure copper right there. So that kind of tips me off it's prehnite. And then prehnite can come in all different colors. In this case, I believe it's coming in pink. So I'm kind of excited about this one here. Look at that. I could probably fill a whole bucket full of these things. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this one. Got a little stripy, quartzy guy here. And I don't walk by the little ones either. Like I said, if it looks cool, I'm picking it up. If I look at them, it's big enough I can cab it. Had a few fractures and pits in there, but I like the design. Got some pink, some greenish, and some white going on there. So I don't know if I'll do this as a natural or put a shape on it. I'm probably going to end up doing this as a natural. The shape's not too bad on that. All right, got this one I called an argillite. I'm still thinking it is, maybe not. Usually argillites don't have little quartz pockets in there, so I might be wrong on this one. But you look on the outside and you're like, you know, throw that back on the ground and keep walking. Guy, you cut these things open. Look at that. Ain't that cool? Lovely pattern in there. Almost looks like an agate. And then it's got this little eye-looking thing, which you can't see. You would never, well, you can kind of see a little bit of it right there. But yeah. Now I said it looked like a mutant, teenage mutant ninja turtle downstairs. So let me know what you think it is in the comments down below. We'll try to turn it around here, give you some different angles. Yeah, I think this is going to cab up nice. And we got got ourselves a piece of migdaloidal. I'm thinking it's basalt. It could be rhyolite. It's kind of reddish. And prehnite. And it's got a nice, soft, bluish green tint going to it. You can tell just by looking at this which rock is harder, you know, because the basalt's wearing away pretty quick. Man, look at that. Just beautiful on the inside. Now, I see a little bit of copper, not much. Not as much as that other one has, but still, it's just gorgeous. So I think it'll make an awesome looking cab. So there's the outside again. Yeah, this is my third favorite one right here. Got another little stripy rock. I saw this, I think, you know, on both sides, so I'm thinking, okay, it should go all the way through. And it did go all the way through. Got some fractures in it though. That's the life of a rock on the beach, getting pounded by the surf 24/7. But hopefully it'll stay together. I see some of these fractures are looking kind of strong, but then we'll get lucky with this one. And then I got a piece of gneiss here. Kind of toadish on the outside, but on the inside, look at the patterns. And then it's got some pinkish stuff going on in there too. Game got a little quartz up on top. Lots of color. So I'm hoping, you know, we can incorporate, you know, some of these patterns will come through when we make the cab. I don't know if the pink, I don't know if you'd call that a garnet or what, you know. Another rock that this possibly could be, I'll have to try to look this one up. It just could be schist, because you can get garnets in schist. And that's, I don't know, maybe they aren't garnets, but they just, you don't see pink spots, you know, like that without it being garnets. So we'll find out. There you go. So these are the 10 rocks from episode 32, and then I'll take each one of these rocks and I'll make a cabochon of all these, and then we'll show them on episode 33. So speaking of cabochons, I got the cabochons from the rocks from episode 31 that Carlin sent from Alaska, and we're going to move all these rocks out of the way, clean this up a little bit, and then we'll just, talk about them. So let me clean up my mess here. So these are the rocks from episode 31, the rocks that Carlin sent me from Alaska, and it was quite a good selection. I think she picks them off of gravel bars up there, so they get mushed around and beat upon each other just like the beach rocks, so expect a lot of fractures in these. So the first one here, I said was a piece of gneiss. At least that's what it looks like to me. So I'm not really familiar with the Alaska rocks, so I might mess up a couple of these. So we'll put a little reminder on here what it looked like after I cut it. So that's kind of what it looked like there. Not pretty two colors, but I like the pattern on it. So here is the cabochon I made out of it. I thought that come out pretty good. Shines decent. Nice pattern in there. There's the back. There's the front. There's the original rock, and there's the cabochon I made out of it. And we had this stripy one here, and I thought at first it was an amygdala oil, but I don't think it is. It was too smooth and shiny for that. So then I'm kind of leaning towards maybe a jasper or a chert with a quartz inclusion. So that's what it looked like. Now I was trying to get these stripes. You can see they go through. And the side I picked, I had stripe going through, but as I ground it, it disappeared. There's what's left of it. It was going right across the middle. But I got to manage to get some. So here's the cabochon. Super shine on this here. Got the nice little quartz inclusion running through there. Not the big one like I wanted, but there's the back. There's the front. So, like I said, I'm not super positive exactly what this stuff is. I don't think it's basalt or anything. It's just too smooth and shiny for that. But like I said, awesome shine on that. So there's the original rock, and there's cabochon I made out of it. All right, this was my favorite rock right here. This kind of had this pattern going on here, kind of dull. And then I cut it open, and it had this grayish blue scene going on in here. It was just beautiful, I thought. I think the black is a hornblende or something. It's not mica. It's pretty soft. See, I had to be kind of careful on the edges. It made an absolutely stunning cabochon, I thought. Look at that. Decent shine. A couple little tiny fractures in there. There's the back. There's the front. There's the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. All right, this one, quartz, some kind of green stuff going on in there. But what really interested me was the this yellow mineral in here, right up on top. I thought, man, I'd love to incorporate that into a cabochon. Well, I tried 2 times to incorporate this into cabochon. This stuff here is so brittle it would just fall apart when I'd cut it on the saw or start cabbing it. So I had to make a little change of plan here. So I kind of moved down into the stone a little bit. Well, here's the cab. And there is a little of the yellow stuff running through there. You can kind of see it right there. And there's a couple little streaks here and there. But yeah, it shines pretty good. An interesting pattern. Got a little bit of the yellow stuff, whatever that is. Here's the back. Here's the front. Now, wherever this black stuff is, if it's hornblende or whatever, it's soft. I had to be really careful on that when I was cabbing. So, pretty good shine, I thought, considering all the different kind of minerals that are in there. So there's the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. I found this one really interesting. And here's another one I'm not exactly sure. You know, it looks like quartz, but it's got these chevrons in there. So I don't think it was an agate. And I had really high hopes for this. Remind you what it looked like here after I cut it again. Cool pattern. Well, it made an absolutely stunning cabochon. Look at that. Get it to focus. So it's got all the chevrons in there. There's the back. A few fractures, but they didn't bother much. There's the front. Got really good shine on it. So there's the original rock. And there's the cabochon I made out of it. So this one here, obviously some kind of quartz, but it had a kind of a blue-green theme going on in here, but it had this kind of a rusty color going on in there too, a few fractures. And what I did when I cut it off, I used the end piece to make the cab. Well, it had a little dish in it, so I was hoping to get more of the blue stuff. I did get some of it. Here's the cab, but I got a lot of this rusty-looking color stuff. The shine is decent on it. A few undercut spots, but a few fractures. There's the back. There's the front. I like the bluish green color. Not too wild about the yellowish rusty color. So there's the original rock. I mean, if I cut into this more, I might find some cool spots on it. But well, something for later. So there is the cabochon, and there's the rock I made it out of. All right, had a piece of granite here, and I figured the inside would pretty much look like the outside, and it did. But solid, no fractures, no pits. Colors weren't too bad, I thought. So here is the cabochon I made out of it. Really good shine. Really good shine. Nice blend of mica quartz and whatever the other yellow stuff is. Here's the back. There's the front. Not too shabby. There's the original rock. And there is the cabochon I made out of it. They had this green rock with these, I don't know if this is jade or what this mineral is, the translucent green stuff here. And it kind of run through the rock, but it had a lot of fractures in it. But it was pretty. So it's there. And here's the cabochon I made out of it. The shine was okay. Some of the darker stuff undercut a little bit, as you can see. But that, whatever the green stuff is, that shined up really nice. There's the back. There's the front. There's the original rock. And there is the cabochon I made out of it. All right, this gray one here. And I had high hopes for this. I thought it kind of looked like a scene almost. And so I was gonna do a trillion cut. And I did a trillion cut, but when I started grinding it, a big chunk of it fell out. So then I tried a different cut and a big chunk of it fell out again. So I ended up making a round one out of what was left. Beautiful shine on this thing. Still got kind of a cool looking pattern on it, but not what I was after. More after a scene. I might attempt it again, but there's a few fractures in here. Sometimes you don't see them. You go to trim it or start cabbing on it, and a chunk falls out. There's the cabochon. Really good shine. There's the back. There's front. Here's the original rock. And here is the cab I made out of it. This was that big one I cut last. And I think we're pretty much consensus that this is banded chert. A lot of the viewers chimed in on this. I appreciate that. So this is what the outside looked like. Here's the inside. Really nice pattern in here. Look at that. A few fractures, so I kind of had to work around them a little bit. But it made an absolutely gorgeous cabochon. Really good shine, nice pattern. So I'll probably be making a few more out of this one for sure. This is a big rock, so I'm gonna slab it up. I got it ready to go for on my slab saw. Yeah, there's the back. There's the front. There's the original rock. And there's the cabochon I made out of it. So all these rocks will end up on my Etsy page, but I'll give Carlin her pick of whatever 3 rocks she wants, since she donated the rocks. And then the other ones I get to keep, and then I'll be making more cabs, especially out of this one here. I really like this stuff. And what other one? This one here, I can make a couple more cabs out of this one. Let me know what your favorites were in the comments down below. So get this put away and finish up here. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me cut those Lake Superior rocks in half. There's some really good ones in there. And then bringing in the rocks Carlin sent me from Alaska and the cabochons I made out of those. Let me know which ones were your favorites in the comments down below. So I'd like to thank Carlin again for sending the rocks from Alaska. And I'd like to thank the subscribers out there for coming on board. Like I said, the numbers keep going up, so I must be doing something right. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. The button's down below. It's absolutely free, and then you'll get notified every time I put a video out if you're liking this content. And then when you get done with that, slide over and give me a thumbs up, because that gets the analytics out there so more people can find the content. And then there's a bell notification and a hyperlink on the mobile device, and then you can share it with friends, family, or whoever. All these little avenues to help me out on this YouTube channel here. So I'm going to put a video link up here. It's for number 4 video on this series. That's where I started making the cabochons. And then YouTube will put a link here. Hopefully it's one of my videos. It has been, but I always hope that. So I think, let me check my notes here. Yeah, yeah, thanks for coming along for the ride, watching this video. That's all I got, and I'll catch you later.